Hey everyone, it's been a minute, but I'm so happy to be back, and I no longer am pregnant. We welcomed our second little guy a couple of weeks ago, and we've really just been enjoying our time as a family of four, and we've been in the trenches of newborn life since. When it came to labor and delivery and sharing our experience, my initial plan was to film majority of it and then share what I could. However, our little guy came really quickly, so neither my husband nor I had even time to think about documenting any of it. That being said, I am 2 weeks postpartum, and I wanted to sit down and share some of the things I did to prep before baby, as well as some of the products I used and different things during labor and delivery, and then postpartum as well, some of which I'm still using and loving. So in the weeks leading up to labor, there were a few things I did in the kitchen to help really make those first few weeks a little bit easier. One of the very first things I did was I prepped and I baked a couple of batches of chocolate chip lactation cookies. Knowing that I wanted to try breastfeeding again, I found a super easy and quick recipe on Pinterest. Unlike many other recipes out there that call for a million ingredients, this one really, it was just based off of using one of those Betty Crockers chocolate chip cookie packages and then adding, I think it's like 4 other ingredients. So super easy, very minimal ingredients. I'll have everything linked below. I've now made them about 3 different times and they're good. My husband even approves of them and they're very effective, which is most important. I also prepped some breakfast sandwiches and breakfast burritos and different things like that for an easy on-the-go breakfast or lunch. Both my husband and I really like eggs and like breakfast sandwiches, so I used a mixture of English muffins, burritos, or tortilla shells, croissants, and different mixtures of like ham and sausage, different veggies and peppers and potatoes, and I just made a whole gamut of lots of different types of sandwiches and burritos, and I wrapped them all up in foil, put them in freezer bags, and put them in the freezer. We've now been using them, taking them out, putting them in the fridge, and using them, eating them almost every day. They're very handy, whether, again, it's for breakfast or lunch. Overnight oats is another thing. I didn't necessarily prep this ahead of time, but I did make sure I had all of the ingredients. The recipe is actually from KRISTIN CAVALLARI's one of her cookbooks. I came across the recipe a number of years ago and I've made it on and off throughout the years. Knowing that oatmeal is a great complement to milk production, I knew that going into this I wanted to implement it and bring it back into kind of my routine. Really, it's simple. I'll have the recipe linked below, but it's super simple, minimal ingredients. You just dump everything in, mix it up, put it in the fridge. In the morning you wake up, you mix it, and voila, you have breakfast. Another thing I picked up and made sure we had on hand were a couple of boxes of those little bottles of instant baby formula. Although I had every intention and high hope that I was going to breastfeed and we weren't going to incorporate any formula at all, I knew ahead of time, just from my prior experience with my first son, that it would be smart and it would be very helpful to have a couple of boxes on hand just in case. And for us, lo and behold, we did go through those in the first couple of days. We did have to supplement. In those first few weeks, those first few days, there is so much going on. I knew it's super helpful and such a lifesaver just to have a couple on hand, or even just the powder on hand. That way you're not running to and from the store right when you get home, or the minute you may be told that you need to start supplementing, you have it and your baby can be fed, and that's always most important. But yes, I made sure we had a couple of bottles and boxes on hand, and it was a lifesaver. Switching gears from the kitchen and moving into a couple of the other rooms throughout our house, I ordered these dimmable night lights from Amazon, a package of these. One thing I love about these is it has a dimmable switch right here. So you plug these in and you can adjust how bright or how dim you want the light to be. These have been super handy. When we got them, I plugged them in different outlets throughout our house, and they've come in handy throughout the night. When I'm up at night, I don't need to turn on a main light, and I also don't have kind of one of those old school super bright beaming lights shining in my face either. So these have been great and very, very helpful during the night and maneuvering. Sticking with lights, this Himalayan salt lamp is another purchase from Amazon, and I absolutely love this. Right now we have it in our bedroom while we're room sharing, and it's just the most perfect soothing light to have on at night while we're awake and up and feeding and not sleeping. But it's great. It has a dimmable switch right here, so you can adjust, similar to the night lights that I just shared, how bright or how dim you want it, which is great. Also, one thing I love is just the quality of this. This is super heavy, but the rock itself is very, very nice, and also the base. I know when I'm in store, sometimes I see these, and I have to admit, I don't think the quality on any of them is great, but this particular lamp I love. I've had it actually for quite a while, and it's held up really well, and I've had no issues. So this has been great, great, great to use at night. Another thing I did was I put together a tote of diaper necessities for each of our vehicles. I just went to Target and I bought 2 small, medium, hefty size, or those hefty just containers, and I put in diapers, wipes, a changing pad, and some Clorox wipes, an outfit, a onesie, and I just put that all together in a tote to have for each of our vehicles. I know most of the time you carry around a diaper bag with all of those essentials, but I also know that sometimes it's just nice to have extra and to be extra prepared. Let me tell you, believe it or not, we've actually already used one of the totes, and we've done a diaper change in the car. Lastly, when it comes to prep and things around the house, I also purchased a 3-tier cart and stocked it with just baby necessities and things that we could have readily accessible, so we wouldn't have to be going back and forth from the room all the time. I spend majority of my time in our living room, so that's where ours is at. Initially, I thought I would use it as a pumping station, which you'll find all over Pinterest, lots of different articles and good ideas when it comes to that. But we're 2 weeks in, and right now, I think from here and forever, it will just be a baby necessities. So we have just diapers, wipes, pacifiers, hand sanitizer, burp cloths, little blankets, just all those little odds and ends that you find yourself needing. I picked my cart up from Target, and I really like that it's actually plastic and not metal. I know IKEA, I think theirs is metal, and also the bottom of each tier is mesh, which I don't necessarily like because things can fall through, but I would highly recommend picking one of these up. Now, switching gears into labor and delivery and some of those products, one of the very first products that came in mighty handy were the Always Discrete underwear. And this is what one of them looks like. Actually, here's the front, here's the back. This is a size large, and yeah, not the cutest, but let me tell you, my water broke in the middle of the night, and right away I changed my underwear and I used a pad, but within minutes I realized that wasn't going to work. So I popped on one of these, and let me tell you, it was a complete lifesaver from the time we were at the house to the time we made it to the hospital. When my water broke, it wasn't a big gush or anything, but I was continuously leaking fluid. So having one of these was, like I said, just super, super imperative, and I'm so glad I had them. I also loved using them postpartum as well. I thought they were super, super convenient throughout the day, and especially at night. One thing that I found was super convenient was just the fact that you could slip one on and you didn't have to mess with changing a pad or anything like that. When you're done, just toss it out and put a clean one on. I know they can be a little daunting because, I mean, come on, like this is a lot, but I guarantee if you get these, you won't regret it. They're super, super helpful. Sticking with disposable underwear, I also purchased the Freedom Mom underwear, the high-waisted. That's these right here is the front, here is the back. And while we were in the hospital, so I used solely what the hospital provided. So the hospital underwear as well as the pads. I still have half of a package left, so here is the underwear. And then once we got home, I transitioned to using the Always diapers just for convenience. Like I said, you don't have to be worrying about changing a pad. You just take off the diaper and you throw it away. But after a few days, once everything let up a little bit, I switched over to the Freedom Mom underwear. And let me tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised at how comfortable they are. I would say one major plus to the underwear is just how seamless they are. So unlike the ones that the hospital provides and or the Always Discrete underwear, these are super seamless, and you can wear like tight-fitting pants and not show any lines, which I think is a huge plus coming from someone who always wears a thong. These were really, really great. Because perineal cooling packs were another item that I also purchased. I got these off of Amazon. I got a big box of these, and I found these to be extremely cooling, much more effective than the ones that I used in the hospital. All you have to do is you bend it over until it like snaps, and then you shake it, and they're cool within a few seconds, which is really great. The only con to them that I found was that they are a bit bulky, but if I had to choose between pain relief or aesthetic comfort, I would definitely choose pain relief postpartum. So I guess it can slide how bulky they are because they work really, really well. Also, like I just mentioned, typically you wear loose-fitting clothes, so it's not a huge deal when it comes to that. Dermoplast was another product that I absolutely loved. I didn't actually go out and buy this ahead of time. I knew the hospital was going to provide it, and I didn't need any more. This is the same one that the hospital gave me. Still have some left, but I absolutely love this stuff. I was just spraying this like crazy, and it feels so good. Tucks are another product that I also really liked. So using the cooling ice pack with the tucks and then the spray, it's amazing post-birth. Luckily this time around I actually had, because I had such a quick and is actually very smooth labor and delivery, my healing process this time around versus 9 years ago when I had my first son, it's been so much easier. And I didn't, as you can tell, this actually isn't open. I bought this, but I use these in the hospital, so I use the ones the hospital provided, but I haven't opened the ones I bought myself, and I don't need them. But I will say that they are amazing and they feel great. Definitely a must-have item. Now moving on to clothing, I ordered some button-up pajamas from Amazon, and I got these in a size medium, and I ordered black with white piping, and they are amazing. I've been actually wearing them almost every night or every day since I gave birth. They come in a variety of colors. They're super stretchy and they aren't see-through at all. Really anything button up or anything zip up will work just as well, but I found that it's really essential whether you choose to breastfeed or not, just to even do skin to skin in those first couple of weeks, especially in the hospital. It's super convenient and nice to have just a top that buttons up or zips up just for easy access. I've found that really after birth, those first few weeks, any clothing or any top that really allows you to be essentially topless within a matter of seconds is a huge winner. In addition to the pajamas I also ordered a really comfy, cozy robe from Amazon. Unsure of whether it's going to be warm or cold in the hospital, I wanted to make sure I had something that I could easily bundle up and stay warm, and also something that I could easily open up, kind of like the pajamas for doing skin to skin and doing breastfeeding. Luckily, it was really warm when we were in the hospital, so I didn't actually need this very much, but I've used it at home ever since, and it's been really nice and helpful. Specifically with this one thing that I love about it is the length. I know a lot of robes that hit above the knee, but this one specifically, it hits below, or it hits my calves, which is really nice. I like the longer length, especially post-birth when you're sitting and stuff. Just having the extra length for me is very important, and it's also super warm and very, very cozy. Compression socks are an item that I did not purchase ahead of time, but I did end up needing severely. Given my prior experience, I knew postpartum that I was going to swell. My hands and my feet were going to be swollen in the few days after birth, but this time around, oh my gosh, my feet just ballooned, and I think I waited 5 days and I finally caved, and I went and I bought a pair. I got these just from a local hospital, like medical supply store. I found instant relief once I put them on, and although they are not cute in any way, they really, really helped me, and I found them to be super effective. My swelling went down within a few days of using them. Given my previous experience and knowing that I wanted to try breastfeeding again, I made the decision to invest in the LV pump, and that's this right here. I actually just used it, so there is some breast milk in there. But unlike traditional pumps or most pumps out there, unfortunately the LV is not covered by insurance. So after doing some research, I kind of concluded that just the mobility and the discreteness that the pump itself offers was worth the price, and I decided that it was going to be worth it for me to give it a try. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the LV pump, really it's a pump, like I said. I'll show you right here. So these just sit in your bra, and there are no tubes or no wiring or anything like that. So wearing this and pumping, it offers really 100% mobility. Given that I'm 2 weeks postpartum, I've really only been using the pump for 1 week because my milk took about 6 days to come in. But I will say, just from the get-go, I've already pumped in the car 4 different times, and that just wouldn't have been possible with a traditional pump. It's really just been a game changer for me, the mobility and the discreteness of it. I can be pumping at home also and sitting in the living room with my family, with our son, oldest son, and not having to feel weird or having to go in the bedroom. It's just been amazing, and I'm so thankful for the technology. One con, and I knew this ahead of time just through my research, was that a lot of moms out there say that the suction on the pump itself is not very good. It's a little bit lacking when you compare it to other traditional pumps or hospital grade pumps. And I will say, through my experience of using it, I will have to agree. However, I've had no problem expressing any milk. And again, just the mobility and the convenience of it, it's just been a lifesaver and a game changer for me overall. In addition to the LV pump, I also opted to order the Amiga Maya pump through my insurance. Like I said, just through my research of the LV pump, I had read over and over again kind of cons and things about the suction. So knowing that I could get a free pump through insurance, I wanted to have this on hand as well. One thing that I really love about this is it does have a very good suction on it. It has different levels of suction, levels 1 through 10, and it also has a massage function. So when you first start pumping, if you want to have kind of just an easy let down and massage, you can turn that function on, and it's been really great. Another thing I really like is that it keeps track of the time, so you know right off the bat how long you've been pumping for. This, you just plug it in right here to charge it, and it is essentially portable, though it is traditional, like I said, and you have the flanges here, and then I also use a breast pump bra, so I don't have to hold it. But I find myself using this in the morning and at night. It's been great, coupled with the LV pump. Using both together has been a really good experience, and I would highly suggest both. This is fairly quiet, and overall I really, really like it. Earth Mama nipple butter is another item that I would highly recommend to any nursing or breastfeeding mama out there. It truly feels like butter, and it's really helped relieve any discomfort that I've had thus far. So last but not least, I wanted to share just a couple of random tips. And number one is, one thing that I'm super glad I had packed in a hospital bag were a couple of bottles. Going into it, I really had the expectation and the high hopes that I was solely going to breastfeed and we weren't going to supplement or use formula in any way. But on our last day in the hospital, our little guy was losing a little bit more weight than they wanted. So we ended up that last day having to supplement. And the hospital itself, they have the pre-mixed formula and they provide that. However, the nipples that they have for those bottles, they're actually fast flow, which I didn't know, and I didn't know that that's all the nipples that they have in the hospital. But I'm so glad we had the bottles, so we were able to pour that formula into the bottles and use one, the bottles we purchased, and two, a nipple with a slow flow nipple versus a fast flow. Especially when I was trying to first start breastfeeding, I was worried that a fast flow was going to discourage him from even wanting to learn how to breastfeed. So I am very glad that I packed some bottles, even though I had no intention of using them. I'm glad I packed them and they were very helpful. Another tip is that before we went in, when I was packing and putting our bags together, I grabbed a gallon Ziploc bag and I just threw in kind of just random essentials that I knew I would maybe want while I was in labor or on my bedside. So chapstick, gum, a hair tie, a contact solution, contact case, my glasses, just little odds and ends and random things like that. And I put that on the top of our bag so my husband could easily just grab it and then we could put it on my side table. Because my labor and delivery was so quick, we didn't even touch that bag and I didn't need anything in it. But I always think that just putting those little odds and ends together, so one, when you're in labor, and two, your husband or your support person can easily just grab that bag and you can have all those little things in one place. So you don't have to be digging around or have someone try and dig around in all your bags. I think it's super helpful. My last tip, and one that I would probably recommend above all else, is to spend a little extra time in the hospital if you can. So my husband and I, we chose, instead of just spending the required 24 hours, we actually spent 48 hours in the hospital. We're both so thankful that we did. From just having a nurse, pediatrician, a doctor, lactation consultant on hand for that extra day, it was super helpful at just answering questions or just even giving us time to fill out different paperwork that we needed to have completed before we left. It was so helpful. Not to mention the extra bonding time. It was just so special. After you have a baby, it's a very intimate time as well. So when you're learning to breastfeed, oftentimes you're pretty much topless or your top is completely open. So just knowing that I had just a little extra time in the space to do that, to learn, to just spend with my new baby, it was very special and very helpful. Because once you go home, especially if you have older children, you get thrown right back into it. So you're back into the routine and you're back in just parent mode. Taking that extra time is just super special, and I would recommend it to anyone. If you're able to do it, definitely do it, because I don't think you'll regret it. That wraps up everything for today. I'll have everything linked below in the description box. You can find it easily there. Let me know in the comments, or let other moms know too, if there's other products or different tips that you have when it comes to labor and delivery and postpartum and prepping for all of that. I think it'd be great to just learn from everyone. I think I'll also be doing kind of like a part 2 to this video. Today we focused on, I shared products that I have been using and I used, but I also think I'll make a quick video on just a few baby items and things that we love and that we've been using for baby. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.